Late September and early October in France. Summer dwindling and wilting into a trustingly chilly autumn. But what's the clay bridge that slides you between seasons? I'm Alexandra Lawton, and we're here at Roland-Garros.
The Roland-Garros Set.
Hi, we string the racket at Wilson! And you're listening to the Roland-Garros Set. Woo!
Day 6 at Roland-Garros, and it's like we're basically down a set in the competition. It's rainy, but only in spells, which means tennis matches will be in full swing. We've got Wawrinka versus Gaston, Nadal, Travaglia, Garcia, Mertens, and many, many more. But today, I'm taking you with me to go and meet the big hitters at Wilson. And we're going to add a string to our bows, or in this case, rackets, on how to prepare or what happens during a Grand Slam tournament with some of the restringers at Wilson. Wilson, here we come! I can't believe what is happening here. I've just bumped into my old boss, Andreas Evagora, who used to work at Eurosport. Hello, Andreas.
Hello, how are you? Can I keep my mask on?
I think you have to keep your mask on.
Okay. Well, it's nice to see you. What a surprise.
I know. You don't see many familiar faces around here at the moment, obviously, because of the limitations on crowd. But it's so good. It feels like home when I see you.
Oh, that's nice to say. And you're hanging around right outside the restaurant, which is a good place. You know you're going to see a lot of people around lunchtime, so...
That's how I do it. I like to hang around outside those canteens.
Good positioning.
So you, obviously, you know all about tennis, you know about, well, all sorts of sports, but based on Grand Slams and tournaments, we're down nearly a week now. What are your feelings on how the tournament's going?
Well, I think it's mixed because obviously you can't avoid the fact that there's no fans here, or very few fans, so there's about 1,000 a day. So it doesn't have necessarily the feeling of other Grand Slams, but I think it's been a success that the players gone on, because we were fearing the weather would be really bad. It's happened. The players have really gone through some tough conditions. It was wet, it was raining, and the courts have stood up. And the best thing is that Chatrier obviously has the roof now, so we get a full day's play on Chatrier. So I think it's been a very good first week.
That's absolutely, but we've seen some shock exiting, almost sort of Serena. But some people are also saying that Nadal's not on form this year.
Well, he hasn't had the build-up, because normally he comes into Roland-Garros having won all the clay court events in what is normally the spring and early summer. He hasn't got the practice, but I still think he's the favourite, because I think he's going to get the practice. I don't like to use the word practice because they're real matches, but he's winning matches quite easily, and that will get him up to speed. That will get him used to these different courts, because the balls here are heavier, so he said it's not quite as easy for him. So I still think he's the narrow favourite to beat Djokovic in the final, but there's a long way to go.
So you think Djokovic is going to get to the final?
Yes, he's been brilliant. I mean, he hasn't actually lost a match all year, apart from that unfortunate incident in New York. I think they're the two best players. I've just seen the end of Dominic Thiem, who was absolutely brilliant. He barely put a foot wrong. Dominic Thiem is in brilliant form, loads of confidence after the US Open, but I still think it's Djokovic Nadal between those two.
And what about the women?
The women is really open, and it was sad that Serena Williams obviously had to pull out. Simona Halep is really very determined. She's got the bit between her teeth. I think Ostapenko, I was very impressed with Ostapenko the other day, and she knows what it means to go all the way and win this thing. So she's, don't rule her out. And as a real outsider, Schmiedlova was very impressive as well. But the women's is very open.
That's very interesting. No one's actually mentioned her yet. People have even talked about Sofia Kenin as a favourite.
Kenin, she's struggled a bit to get through, but she's a really determined character, Kenin. When she's down, she just digs in. I'm not sure if clay's her favourite surface, but she's an Aussie Open winner, so again, she knows what it's like to be on the podium in a Grand Slam. But Halep is the top seed. I think she deserves to be the top seed, and she's probably the player to beat. Okay,
and so Andreas obviously was the head of the English service at Eurosport. Are you shocked and a bit frightened to see me?
No, it's always a great pleasure to see you. I sort of recognise you with your mask as well, and your hair's different as well. So that's slightly
Yes, I'm donning the old the beehive look at the moment, and
It's very fashion. It looks fantastic. No, of course, no. I knew you were here. I just didn't know where you were.
yes, I know we're all running around like headless chickens at the moment.
No, I noticed you're out of the rain, so it's slightly. You could get out there under the rain. What's the matter with you?
Yeah, well, no, your hair's extremely sort of coiffed and looking fantastic.
Because I'm not getting out of my office. I'm barely leaving an edit suite. Although I did actually had an interesting experience yesterday. Because I saw Kevin Anderson, who is just huge. He's like 2.04 or something. And he was slipping around on the clay, and he was a set down. So I went back to work, and I found he won in 5 sets. So it just shows there's something here for everyone. Even a plus 2 meter South African who doesn't like the clay, he's still in the competition. So good luck to Kevin Anderson.
Andreas Evagora, I can't wait to catch up with you later. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Nice surprise too.
Can't believe I just bumped into my old boss at Eurosport there as he left. He said, "You owe me some stationery." It's true, I did nick a fair bit of stationery when I was at Eurosport. But without further ado, it's off to Wilson. So I'm now in the restringing room, and there are a handful of restringers and lots of machines. It's also a very sort of glamorous environment here, sort of dark carpets and pristine walls, and a very glamorous restringer is standing in front of me.
Thank you. I appreciate the comment. My name is Joe Height.
Joe Height?
Height, yes.
As in height as in tall?
Yes, not spelled the same, but yes.
It's a good name.
Thank you.
You've been restringing rackets for how long?
I've been doing this on tour for about 13 years.
Oh my gosh. And who do you restring for?
Oh gosh, everybody. I mean, I'll typically string for maybe between 30 and 40 different players in the draw. Many hundreds of players have gone through my fingers.
So Joe Height, ladies and gentlemen, responsible for the successes of tennis players. Does anyone ask for you specifically?
I have once or twice, but typically not. I mean, usually we get assigned players based on sort of how long we're here.
Who are you stringing for in Garros, for example?
Benoit Paire is someone that I'm stringing for. But we also help out a little bit with everything when the load gets really big. We take on different players and things like that. I'm stringing less this year because we have so many stringers in the room, and I'm the lead trainer on the team, and I have some trainees here that I need to watch and make sure that they're doing everything absolutely the way that we want. So
that sounds like a lot of responsibility. When a player needs desperately and very, very quickly a racket restrung, do they come in here and do they go, "Wilson"?
Kind of, yes. In a way, it's called an on-court, and it's basically a cross between stringing a racket and drag racing. You go as fast as you possibly can. We have a method of stringing, and all of us here can get into the 3rd, 4th, 5th gear of stringing and still maintain our consistency.
What's your record?
Oh, geez. I can finish a racket, probably record-wise, is probably around 11 minutes.
How many tennis rackets does a big hitter like Federer go through?
How many he goes through and how many he takes to a match are sort of different. He'll take about 9 to 10 rackets to a match, and that isn't typical. I would say more typical is 4 or 5. But some players like to take a lot of rackets based on who they're playing and the situation that they're in, and maybe they want to change tension, so they have rackets set up for different situations based on how the match progresses.
Do you think they have a Joe bag? They have a bag that is only filled with rackets strung by you?
They would have them all strung by me, but it wouldn't be marked as a Joe bag, no.
I think it might be.
My name stays out of it completely. It's just a bag.
So this is a machine that looks, I look like a medieval serf looking at this, sort of trying to operate helicopter controls, but it looks very complicated.
It's not overly complicated. This particular machine, this is a Wilson machine called the Bayardo. Any stringing machine has a way to mount the racket very solid, and it has a way to pull the tension, and every design of the machine is based on those two things. Everything else is sort of a theory that the designer has to maintain the integrity of the frame, to pull the tension most accurately, to things like that, and to make it easier for the stringer. This particular machine actually can change height and tilt to make me more comfortable, so that when I'm...
Joe Height?
Yes. So when I'm stringing for 10 or 12 hours, it's less fatigue on my body.
10 or 12 hours? In the war, they used to use harpists, wire or defuse bombs, because it was such nimble work. If you weren't a stringer, what would you do to apply the skill set you have here to another job?
Wow, when my shoelace is getting a knot, I can get it done really quick. I don't know that there's any really translation, because stringing is, to be a good stringer, you need to string. And I wouldn't say there's much translation to other professions, even knitting or sewing or anything like that. It's a completely different dexterity.
Well, what do you think, based on what you've seen in the tournament, is going to happen next week with players?
Probably see, whenever weather changes, you will see players change their specs on their rackets. So court changes, because clay soaks up more moisture, and that in turn goes into the ball. You will see players restring their rackets and change their configurations based on the weather for that day. If temperatures go up, things will change. If temperature plummets, things will change. Really won't know until the day happens.
And you niche the tennis rackets to certain players, so it's like a tailored racket.
Higher name players actually will have rackets specifically designed for them. Most players will have rackets purchased, and they will customize them to a certain weight and balance and swing weight, so they behave a certain way. And then they like their setups in the stringing a certain way, and we basically take their order and do it the way they want. We don't necessarily offer suggestions or anything like that. They know what they're doing with their equipment. We do what they ask.
I think it's psychologically as well. There's a psychological element.
Oh, sure, definitely. Oh, yeah. There are some players that will... Sometimes there's a little gamesmanship that goes on where you send an on-court, and what that says to your opponent is, I'm sending a racket off because I think this match is going to go on a little longer than you might think it's going to be. We'll have people...
It's tactics.
It can be. I mean, it's just like, I'm sure you've heard of players that, suddenly I have to go to the bathroom. That's, again, sometimes it's true, and sometimes it's a way to slow your opponent down and make them sit and wait for a little while and be antsy, and it can change a match.
And there you are outside the men's.
Yeah. Just standing outside the men's room.
As you do.
Exactly. So yeah, things we just do, again, whether it's fast or slow, whatever configuration they want, we make sure to do what they want in a way that they want and be able to duplicate it over and over and over.
Now, I've been told that you play a game here sometimes. What is this?
There's a game that when rain delays happen like this, every stringer relates with that in a different way. Some will read and some will sleep, and when you have nothing to do, what do? You create jobs. And a couple members of our team have created something they call bin ball. And one gentleman brings a racquetball from the States, and we take two of our stringing bins that we put our clippings into, and we set them up, and it's a little bit like horseshoes, I guess you could call it, where the object is to bounce the ball once and get it in the bin on the other side, and the game goes to 5, and then you're done. And they've been playing that, and just for no reason, we will sit around and watch them play, and it really is a little bit like watching paint dry, but when there's nothing going on, paint drying is really interesting.
Oh my gosh, who's the best bin ball player in the room here?
The two players, I don't see them here. Jim and Thomas are the ones that have been playing the most. I would say Thomas, he's Canadian, has the edge over Jim the American. I think it's very close, but I would say they're 1 and 2 in the world, respectively.
I'll come back for a bit of bin ball. This sounds...
You got to play some bin ball. It's a lot of fun, actually. You'll enjoy it. It's a little bit addicting. Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah. I'm horrible at it. I've been beaten the 3 matches I've played. I've been slaughtered. So 5-2, 5-1, 5-1. I really am not very good at it at all.
Well, you're kind of like the boss to beat, aren't you?
I guess. Yeah. Maybe there's something that they feel they need to do, but I'm willing to provide that if that's what the team needs.
The necessary evil.
Roll over just one time on the bin ball court to make everyone feel better. That is fine.
Well, Joe, hi, thank you so much, and I'll be back. I will.
Sure. I appreciate it.
Did you know?
Bumped into a group of people eating their sandwiches under the shelter of Chatrier. Hello.
Hi there.
Hello.
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 Hello. Where are you from?
France. Feucherolles.
Where?
Feucherolles City.
That's
Nearby Paris.
nearby Paris. Very complicated name to say. Once again.
From Versailles. Maybe you know Versailles better.
No, I don't know it.
The great castle of Versailles, no?
Come on. Versailles. The king.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Let's carry on playing tennis.
I'm only joking. Well, listen, I wanted to give you a tennis fact. René Lacoste. Do you know how he got his nickname, the crocodile?
It's gonna be hard when he bites someone. He doesn't let it go. Like he never give up.
Yeah, Lacoste was known for being a big biter.
Yeah, I think it's right. No.
Let me take you back to 1923. He and the French team were in Boston and playing for the Davis Cup. And they were about to play Australia, and they were walking in the street, and they were passing by a luggage shop. And René Lacoste looked in the window and saw a valise out of crocodile skin and said, "Oh, I love it." And so the captain of the French team said, "Look, if we win, I'll buy you that valise." And they didn't win, but it was the captain that said that he is known basically as the crocodile for the way he plays. Big toothy grin, unyielding, big grip. Have you learned something today?
Yes, I did.
Ah,
I remember this story.
yes. And are you seeing anyone today at Garros? Who are you seeing?
Looking forward to Nadal, for sure. We saw Tim this morning also playing, so it was great.
He's playing very well.
We saw Berrettini practicing, and he's looking awesome. This is a girl speaking, for sure.
That doesn't make any difference at all. Well, guys, you're in your anoraks, ready to take on the weather today, so I hope you enjoy Roland-Garros.
Bye-bye, take care.
Bye-bye, thank you. That's it at Roland-Garros, day 6. Join me tomorrow for day 7. Swiatek beat Bouchard today in straight sets, so my former boss Andreas might be right about that. It is raining. It's like a tsunami out here. I better get out of Dodge. That's the Roland-Garros set. Join me tomorrow. If you have any comments or stories that you'd like to share with us, please do get in contact at #Roland-Garros on Twitter. Go to Facebook or use our official Roland-Garros mobile app, or just get in contact directly with me. That's at Alexandra Lawton. Toodaloo.
The Roland-Garros Set.